nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this.
I gotta figure out why it keeps looping on that one. It doesn't loop on the other show, but it loops on this show. But welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Joining me tonight is the Realignment 2026 guru, Rafa. Although I'm going to put a little damper on this because I was all excited about going through. I was starting to put together our little stuff, and then I got to 4A, and there was like 16 teams. I'm like, dude, where are they going to fit these teams? And this is just in the Valley. And, called Rafa in a panic going, oh, my God, what are we going to do? So we're just going to go off the UIL stuff tonight because even though we're going to look at basketball as the template, I don't know how good of a template it actually is for soccer just being up front. But just to kind of go through for here. Rafa, how are you before we get into nuts and bolts and the positives and negatives of the realignment? And from my understanding, there's some head scratching that's going around in Texas.
There's plenty of scratching everywhere after 9 a.m. today. Yeah, I was able to see some of it when it came on I think on Dave Campbell's website on YouTube, and yeah, there were some surprises, and there were some teams like, why the heck are they in this region, or why are they in this district? And they're only in some schools not that far apart, being in opposite districts or opposite regions, like
Vandergrift. To me, when you talk about Texas sports, Vandergrift going to Region 4.
All of Leander ISD going to Region 3, and
then 3, pardon me. Yeah.
And then Georgetown and Hutto, which is closer to Round Rock, they got shipped off to Region 3, which they should have been in Region 4 with the Round Rock schools in Lake Travis and Westlake, staying in Region 4, which, they kind of flip-flop out. Maybe there's some payola there. Who knows?
There's money that gets involved. We know that for that here. But let's get kind of some nuts and bolts of it here. We kind of knew this going in, but Piper got promoted. Southwest, Wagner, Southwest Legacy got promoted for that here. Dropping down, I didn't highlight it, but Medina Valley with the new school opening up. That's the only one dropping down. Going up, New Braunfels, Long Creek, but they're a new school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're a new school, but they're still getting promoted because they're playing 4A this year. And then elevated by request. And we'll kind of get into this with Fox Tech and Sam Houston. But SanAntonio Great Hearts Monte Vista and SA Young Women's Leadership. We know SA Young Women's Leadership has a soccer program. Monte Vista was on the standings for a period of time and then disappeared with the too many forfeits for that. So we'll have to see if they have a soccer program. 4A, Tivy drops down, which we knew. 3A to 4A, SA Great Hearts Northern Oaks. New to 4A, Medina Valley Creekview, the new school there. And then, actually elevated by policy. And then 3A, SA Young Men's asked to go up from 2A to 3A. And then I didn't really go
3A to 4A, yeah,
well, no, 2A to 3A
2 to 3. Oh,
because they're a 3A school.
okay, yeah, yeah.
But they got promoted to that here. So um, through here, so I don't think there were any surprises there outside of the great was it the Great North schools or whatever, the Great Hearts schools. Um, I'm a little disappointed with Fox Tech and Sam Houston. I think they could have went down. I know you've told me and beat me over the head that the district does not want to separate them because of cost, travel cost. Um, I think even going to Pearsall and stuff, it's not like we saw one district when we were kind of pre-show that you're what 4 hours there, 4 hours back out in West
Yeah, that was the rumor. Supposedly, my former alma mater is gonna have to make a 8 hour round trip to play a district game or even or a football or whatever athletic event, but that didn't happen. So because that the little Southwest Texas is a 5 team district, which is kind of a little weird to see that. So I think I think maybe they need to put some students at Abilene High to get them back in. But
So, and then I do think one of the big things that we talked about, hold on, I think I went too far, 17, is doing like football D1, D2. We really talked about it for 5A, but for 4A soccer, I think is a bigger issue. Well, we're only gonna maybe focus on 4A for that here, and we're gonna use just for the context the basketball for that here. So in 4A, just to kind of give a heads up here, District 24 does have Waco, Salado, Robinson, Gatesville, China Spring. But 25 has Georgetown Gateway. They say boys only, but you said it's a girls program for soccer.
yeah, yeah, for girls they only have a girls program.
Okay.
So if you look at the original uh, soccer realignment, you look at they only have a girls program. Now that could change, with Title IX. So they may, who knows, to say they may end up having a boys team next year. We'll find out more once the official soccer realignment comes out, which will be a while. So
Probably before April though is.
yeah, sometime around there. Yeah, and then like I said, they add on teams, and if you ever looked on the website, like I said, they still added teams into June. So
No, that's
because
true. They did.
because there are some new programs that may pop up, and which the thing is with 4A soccer, and you got to understand that you have 3As and you got a couple 2As,
Mm-hmm.
and you're probably going to see a lot of 10-team districts. And even if you, like I said, we talked about, District 28 and 29, there's a possibility some of that might get kind of mushed together or some kind of get bumped up. Like you mentioned about, like I could see Burnett and Lampasas and Gerald end up, and if they're for soccer district, end up in District 24 because they're closer to China Spring, Gatesville, Robinson, Salado, and Conley and La Vega, which probably move up some of 26 into 25. So it's going to be a lot of wheeling and dealing when it comes to that. And like I said, we have some new teams. I know for our area, like I said, there was a game I went to, like for example, Center Point. They're a 2A school. More than likely, they're playing varsity this year. They're playing an independent schedule. Next year, probably be their first official UIL district play, kind of like what Luling did.
Mm-hmm.
Luling's another 2A. It's going to be. Oh, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised seeing 10-team districts, especially like you mentioned about the Valley. You got all those idea schools that are 3A population, but they're going to end up playing 4A soccer.
So, and the reason why it's important here, I think District 27 Bandera, Canyon Lake, Davenport, Fredericksburg, Tybee, Wimberley.
That's where I think Comfort ends up going. If
You
they
think
are
that's where
going to,
Comfort goes?
yeah, that's where they end up going.
And
Another,
if you look at that was 27, right? Yeah, 27.
Mhm.
If you're looking at basketball, just keeping them in the same district, Cole is there, as well as Young Men's Leadership, who do have soccer programs that we have. So when I was trying to put this together, I had put Cole and SA Young Men's
Young Men's.
Leadership into the 27. Now you also mentioned that there's Comfort that's coming. If you did, even with those, I would put it at 8. That would put it at 9 if you added Comfort
I
into it.
yeah, I think Young Men's Leadership and Cole end up in District 28. And granted, like I said, you still have. If you look at 29, I know basketball,
I
Cuero
don't know
doesn't
if they
have.
would have room to do that though, because
Well, if you like I said, if you're gonna start moving up teams, like I mentioned, Burnett, Gerald, and Lampasas is more likely if there is a soccer district, they're gonna end up in 24. So that's gonna leave, Georgetown Gateway, Lago Vista, and Marble Falls, which they'll inherit the teams in District 26, which will
right,
make that to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll make that into a 10-team district for 25. So you move up 27, the teams in 27 into 26.
right.
So that kind of frees up, you know, kind of a split with here, and which is going to include like I said with Creekview, Pearsall, Pleasanton, Kennedy, Memorial, Somerset, Uvalde. Then you have Poteet, you have Hondo. Um,
Mhm.
like I said, we have Floresville, and Lavernia. I don't think Great Hearts Northern Oaks is going to have a team. We'll find out. I have a feeling Gonzalez may end up playing that District 30, which might be 29 with those Corpus area schools. That's I think that's a possibility. Um,
Because Cuero doesn't have a team.
yeah,
Geronimo Navarro.
Geronimo's going to be the newest program, so they're playing a JV schedule right now. So
Okay.
they'll probably be in that district with Davenport and Canyon Lakes, and where they're kind of within that area. So you'll see, like I said, Navarro, Wimberley, Kerrville, Tybee, Fredericksburg, Davenport, Canyon Lake, Bandera, and Center Point in one district. It'd probably be District 26. And then District 27 would probably be Medina Valley, Pearsall, Pleasanton. They could probably split that up a bit. Maybe it'll be a Medina Valley, Kennedy, Memorial, Somerset, or like I said, it's going to be very tricky. You know, I can also see maybe that those Corpus schools may end up getting their own little district. And you see maybe Ingleside, Port Lavaca, Rockport, Gonzales, and then you also have Yoakum too. I forgot about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting how they're going to match up, but you are going to see an abundance of 10-team districts. My thing, what I think that you all should really kind of consider, I know that maybe it's going to be in the future because they're already doing that. You're already doing this in the playoffs. I think they should really kind of consider already splitting 4A, knowing that you have 3As and 2As, having Division 1 and Division 2 districts for 4A soccer to kind of alleviate getting away from a lot of those 10-team districts. And because even out west, and I know we're focusing too much on all this, but you're going to have to combine some teams, and you're going to have, like I said, you're starting to see there's not enough room to add these 3As and 2As or having soccer programs. So
I went and kind of highlighted the teams that I know. You mentioned Comfort.
mm-hmm.
You mentioned Florence.
Oh, not Comfort, Center Point.
Oh, Center Point. Okay, sorry. Center Point is even on here.
See, Center Point is a 2A. They're a 2A school. And then you also have Luling too as a 2A.
Center Point. Well, they have Luling at 3.
Yeah, they moved up. I think they moved to from 2A to 3A.
So Florence had a team, the Florence Buffalo.
Yes.
Luling, Poteet, Young Men's Leadership, Cole, which we talked about, Hondo, Bishop. You mentioned Sinton may be getting a team. You've heard
Yeah, they do have a
discussions?
team. They do
Oh,
have a
they do
team.
have a team. So
Yes.
Sinton, St. Brutus Academy. Basically, this whole district of 31 on the basketball side has soccer teams right now.
Hmm.
And the only one I'm not sure of is Lyford in 32.
Which they do. I think they do have a team.
But I know Progresso, I know Raymondville, and I want to say Rio Hondo.
So Lyford only has a women's team.
Okay. But all of these, to me, the reason why I found it impossible to do is even if you collapse one of these districts, and I think you're right, you're going to have to collapse two of these districts. We've got what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, about 25 teams minimum
That you're adding
from 2A, 3A that needs to fit into these districts. And you look at District 32, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's a 9-team division.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know if Laredo Harmony has a team.
I think they only have basketball.
But I know Brownsville Jubilee does. I know Ed Couch Elsa Hidalgo obviously does. La Feria, I believe.
Yes. So down there it's Brownsville Jubilee, La Feria, Port Isabel, Idea, Brownsville Idea Frontier, Brownsville Idea Riverview, Brownsville Idea Sports Park, and then Idea Robbinsdale College Prep, Rio Hondo, and then Santa Maria, which only has a boys team. They don't have a girls team.
So there, to me, the puzzle for 4A is still to be determined. And I know me and Rafa were just trying to piece together the puzzle, and it's like I said, you're going to earn your money's worth to be able to fit the 2A 3A schools into through here, and that's why I think you mentioned, even though they haven't announced it, I originally thought it would be 5A is where you need it, but maybe you need that Division 1, Division 2 at 4A just to make it where you can fit the teams in at a in reasonable districts, and then they can schedule non-district play, through the I want to say sporting's director, but I know it's not a sporting director. Athletic advisor.
The only other option, and I've seen this before, is I've seen teams that had 11-team districts or 12-team districts. If that happens, what they'll probably do is do kind of within those districts, like split them up in conferences, and then the top, I guess, 2 teams or 4 teams, they'll play in a tournament, kind of like what kind of TAPS does.
Or you just take the top 2.
Yeah, they took the top
side.
2 from each side. They play against each other to determine the district champ and also seeding. And then you'll know who goes D1 and D2 and so forth. That's probably could happen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 11, 12-team districts. But, and I know they'll play, like I said, they will be able to play some of their non-conference and non-district games, because really you're just going to play those teams twice. Let's say if you have a 12-team district, you have 6 on each side. You'll play possibly.
Well, you'd play
you play 10 games, and then maybe you play across maybe 2 teams from the other side to make it at least a 12. You play 12 district games, and then that's how you determine. Like I said, you get your top 4 teams, the top 2 on each side, and then those 4 play against each other and so forth. But you also have to kind of space that out. You're gonna have to dedicate a weekend, to play those, those kind of like that round robin tournament, district tournament games. So yeah, they have their hands full on this, and I think this probably was the opportune time for them to really, maybe honestly experiment, just kind of introduce the whole D1 D2 split within the districts. This would be probably the perfect, because
But
remember
doesn't that
this,
have to be voted on though?
I think so, because this is probably the only sport you would have. Like I said, this is, I think this is one of the only sports minus maybe I think wrestling or something that, because I think they do have 5A 6A, but this is the only sport where you have teams in other divisions playing up. So you don't, like I say, you don't see that with the bigger schools. So it's not like if it's like pro reg when they end up doing pro and relegation and stuff. But um,
Well, you
it's
bring that up, and to me, here's kind of a question here for you. And not to pick on Pearsall, but
yeah,
Pearsall, I think, is a good example of it. They're a young program. However, and we talked about the last show, we question kind of the numbers that are turning out for that here. Um, because they lost to on the men's side, they lost to Somerset, who struggled against most everybody else, and they, you know, and it wasn't even close. To me, does UIL need to kind of set up, and I know it's impossible to do, but should there be some minimums that these programs have, whether it's number of kids along those lines? And I hate taking away opportunities,
yeah.
but I also, it's no fun being on a team that loses 17-0 to another team that hadn't had a win either.
Or has the depth compared to other. I'll give you a perfect example, like what the game I went to when watching Comfort Centerpoint play. They only have 12. They only had 12 players on their varsity, so they only had one sub. So somebody gets a red card, someone gets hurt, or two gets hurt. What do you do? That's something. I
Or
mean,
two yellow cards at one time.
yeah,
You can only put one in.
and so now, I mean, the UIL has to kind of really think about this. I'm sure they've have. Um, you know, they can't tell teams what they can't have as far as what athletic programs and stuff. That's up to the discretion of the schools. So I think the schools realize, yeah, it is. Soccer's become a real popular sport, and so there's a lot of there's a lot of kids that do want to play it, but they don't have it at their campuses.
And it
So
doesn't cost a lot to play.
yeah,
And I say that, you know, with my son getting $300 pair of shoes, but you can get shoes that aren't the $300 pair of
yeah,
shoes, for that here. But and unfortunately, $60 for a ball now is outrageous. But the cost compared to like football, baseball, other sports where you have to have, more equipment along those lines. That's why I think it's a really good thing for the smaller schools, because you've already got a football field most likely.
hmm
The cost of the goals is probably the biggest expense probably for the school. Be able to get the
2-3
goals and the
grand there.
nets. And then of course, obviously jerseys and stuff, but that's going to happen from there. But to me, like I said here, I know you guys are planning on the 50-50 podcast. I don't know if it's inside Texas High School
Yeah, it's just
or
inside Texas High School. Yeah.
I think it's Thursday or no, Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday, you're going to be on, and I believe you guys are going to have a realignment show on there. So that might be something that you look for here. But 4A, just on a statewide thing, anything surprise you? Doesn't surprise you? I know we focus mainly Region 4, but
hmm
anything that we should look out for
Well,
for the 4A?
really, the main thing, sticking to first with Region 4 is, Kerrville Tivy moving down.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a factor. I think they're gonna be a player in this, and boys
Well, they
and
used to
girls.
be.
Yeah, and I think now that we're able to compete with teams that are not say at their level, but as far as population wise, I think they're going to be a really team to watch. Um, you still have Austin Achieve, you still have Austin Northeast. Those are probably your two best squads there. Um, you know, Marble Falls kind of if they do move up back to kind of their closer to the area. Um, then you still have your Valley teams with Hidalgo and
Progressive.
Progresso and Valley View, and then London. So it's still going to be competitive. You have Laronia in there too. Can't count them out, So, and then we'll see what with the new school, Creekview. Really interesting who they hire. um, for next year for their coach, and like I said, it's going to be like I said. There's still talented teams all here, and then like I said, you got talent.
We got our senior team, Diamond Hill Drivers, still in District 8.
Yeah. Yeah, you have them, and then you have, like I said, if you look at Region 1, if you kinda, you still have your heavyweights like San Elizario, Diamond Hill, Castleberry, you said you got some of those teams there. Bridgeport's been the team that really has been excited. They said that they've been making some noise over there. Um for girls' side, you're looking at San Angelo Lakeview. You got your defending state champion Canyon Lady Randalls, even though they're had a couple struggles recently. But that happens sometimes, where you lose players. The
It's a
interesting one,
growing experience.
it's a growing experience. Well, I'm sure 4A's, the one that's probably happy is District 9 not having Salina anymore.
Yeah.
So a team like Aubrey's going to be able to do some damage. I'm sure Life Waxahachie's going to be happy about that. And then Godly. Interesting that Palestine moved out from Region 2 to Region 3. And that's going to be, but there's still some tough teams in Region 3. I mean, you got Lumberton, you got Lumberton, you got really good Navasota team, Brookshire Royal, La Vega from Waco. They've, like I said, I think that I had them in my list for state. You have Bay City, El Campo. Campo was a great team last year. So you got some teams that it's going to make some interesting matchups going into the playoffs for 2027. So it should be fun. 4 is going to be always fun because you never know who can come out. Even though you have your usual suspects, but you're losing a couple of them moving up to 4A to 5A. So, yeah.
And
So
I
we'll
will
see.
say that at the 4A level, and we kind of see it with the J girls, where they got one or two elite players. They can turn its average team into a good team because you have those players here. But moving on to 5A, Region 25, how they set it up here. Smithson Valley, Kyle Lehman, Lockhart, New Braunfels, Long Creek, New Braunfels, Long Creek, Vetch Memorial, MacArthur, which kind of surprises me, Seguin, District 26, Bernie Champion, John Jay, Alamo Heights, Great Hearts Monte Vista, which I don't know if they have a program. I'm surprised by Harlandale, McCollum, and South San in that division. That kind of caught me off guard. 27, I don't think changed at all. Brackenridge, Young Women's, Burbank, Edison, Fox Tech, Highlands, Houston, Jefferson, Lanier. 28, Medina Valley comes back down because of the new school. Eagle Pass win, Laredo, Segura, Martin, Nixon, and Southside. And that's the reason why I'm kind of surprised that, they split South San from Southside and McCollum and Harlandale. I thought those four would be kind of a package deal. District 29, you got the Corpus schools, Gregory, Portland, Victoria, East, and West. 30, La Jolla, Juarez, Lincoln, Palmview, Mission, the Mission schools, Rio Grande City, Roma, Sharyland Pioneer, 31, Donna North, McAllen schools, PSGA schools, 32, you said it's an easy division with just the Brownsville schools and Harlingen South and Mercedes.
That's what the group of death there. So what my uncle says there, since he coaches at Pace. So yeah, it's what's interesting to hear about our region is well, you look at right now, the current nemesis is those pesky Austin schools. Well, now they're in Region 3.
Yeah.
You look at Georgetown, like I said, we're Leander Glen currently right now in 4, like it's in Region 4, where now they get shipped over to Region 3. And then, like I said, Weiss, Hendrickson, Weiss is moving up from 6A to 5A, Hendrickson, Conley. So they were already in Region 3, but like I said, you don't see Cedar Park there anymore. So District 25 is basically going to be the Swenson Valley Invitational. That's no disrespect for the other teams, and I still think for as far as talking girls side, but you still have the Brownfuls. I think they'll compete. I think Lockhart's a
Long
team.
Creek is a team to
They
look out for.
kind of come and look out for. They'll be getting more experience. Lockhart's another team to keep an eye on. They're getting better. Like I said, I know they're in a really tough district. I think this is be a district for them that can compete in. I think MacArthur can still compete in it. Seguin, I think they might struggle with this one. It's kind of weird not to see Swenson
What
Valley
about
with it.
Vets Memorial dropping down?
Well, they've been a 5A, so
have they?
yeah. Okay. So they, like I said, even right now they're kind of struggling. But this will be, like I said, as far as the 4th slot, the 3 other spots for the playoffs for girls side, I think it'll be competitive. Boys side, it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be, I think New Braunfels, Simpson Valley will be competing for that. Long Creek, I think they'll be, like I said, after a season of varsity play, I think they'll be ready to go. Can the MacArthur boys kind of bounce that? I know that you mentioned they're kind of struggling right now. It might be like a rebuilding year for them. So
JV's doing well.
Yeah, so that's a good sign for them. So I'm sure they'll bounce back next season. District 26 girls side, it's still tough because you got Bernie Champion, Alamo Heights. Even though the girls, like I said, I think those are probably
a group of death though.
Yeah, that's kind of like almost close to your group of death because those are probably your top 3. And then that 4th spot's going to be battled out between Jay, Harlandale, McCullum, and South San. And don't think Grey Hearts will have a team. We'll see. You never know. District 27 is your SAISD schools. The only exception is now that Young Women's Leadership is going into moving up. So it's going to, like I said, they'll play, like I said, that'll be a 9-team district for the girls, still with the 8 for the boys. District 28, now that with the split with Medina Valley, losing numbers is going to kind of hurt them a bit. And they're going to be in a tough district. Loretto, Nixon, and Martin are no slouches. Yeah, they're probably those are probably those your 2 district favorites. The last 2 spots,
a solid team.
Yeah, they're coming up. They're coming around. And I think this is a district that they can compete in and compete in and get the last one of those final 2 spots. Figueroa, they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. There's some years they have talent, some years they don't. So there'll be a player. So those last 2 spots are going to more likely be fought out by Medina Valley, Figueroa, and Southside. But we'll see what CC Win does.
Win on the boys' side is improved from my understanding this year. I know Jay plays them on Wednesday in Eagle Pass. But from speaking with Chief, he mentioned Win is better than last year. Now on the girls' side, they're still struggling for that here. But on the guys' side, Win does look like it's there. Question for you: unlike the 4A, what we see in the 5A is probably going to be fairly close to what.
Yeah, I think this is what you're going to see more than likely. I think with the exception of maybe the Grey Hearts, unless they are going to have a team. I just don't see anybody getting moved to another district. But you never know. I mean, you could see, would they move MacArthur back to District 28? and Jay down there with it. Jay, could they move Jay from District 26 to 28? I was a little surprised about that. I would have thought that maybe Jay would be in District 28 instead of maybe 26, um, but I
I
think this.
just, to me, I thought, and from all the reports that I saw, and there were some, or not reports, all the predictions, and there were some sites that did a
Mhm.
really good job on doing it. I thought Jay and MacArthur were going to be packaged. I
Together.
Yeah, I thought Harlandale McCollum, obviously they're a package team. I thought South San and
Southside would be
South
together.
Side
Those
would
four,
would
yeah.
be together. That's why, to me, I was completely caught off guard that the Harlandale McCollum South San moved with Jay along those lines. Now, and especially if you look at the District 26, when you got Alamo Heights, which is on the northeast side of town,
Well, no,
uh,
they're kind of central.
or central, well, on the
Kind
map
of.
to me.
Well, it's funny that Alamo Heights is like close by to MacArthur. It's like
So it does, to me, it doesn't. But when you go from Bernie to south side of San Antonio to um,
to central San Antonio.
central San Antonio, for a city, for that's a when you look at the map, it looks bigger than the average district at this level. So to me, that kind of caught off sides. But yeah, to me, MacArthur and Alamo Heights. I'm wondering if MacArthur lost the flip a coin on that one, because
I thought maybe like Kyle Lehman or Lockhart would be in District 24 because well, really more Lockhart because Lockhart's not far from Bastrop, but also
well, you got 8 teams, yeah.
yeah,
So 8 teams, so yeah, could have.
Simpson Valley. I thought they would have been linked up with maybe like I said with Bernie Champion, Bernie, and the two New Braunfels schools, and then with over there and maybe Seguin. I thought that would probably be the district that they're just a district themselves. Um, Maybe included Alamo Heights as well, and then you end up having maybe possibly like a Seguin, MacArthur,
Any new
Jay.
schools coming in that could?
Well, the only one is like I said here in this area is going to be Creekview, but there are some schools that are going to be built. Um, East Central is building another school. Uh, More than likely, those are going to be two 5As, maybe one 5A D1 D2. I know Comal ISD, especially north of 1604 and that 46 281 area is growing, and more than likely they're going to need another school. And then maybe by the next realignment, you could see Davenport maybe move up to 5A. I know they were close, so you could see them moving up, and like I said, it'll be a lot different. As far as like I said, the other rumor, I know Southside is growing, and could they end up moving up to 6A? That's a possibility, unless they planned ahead and say, hey, let's build another school. More likely, like I said, they're going to have to build another high school for them.
I wonder about that with like the Southwest District, because
That's
if
another
you
one.
go down there, like
Mhm.
there's
It's
new,
growing. Yeah.
just going from last year to this year, there's just so much growth
Yeah.
down there here.
But as far as like,
Head did Southwest did go to 6A, and we'll talk about it next here, Chief.
Mhm. Yeah, the main thing on this is like as far as we're talking about with girls soccer, your clear favorite's got to be Simpson Valley.
Mhm.
And then you have I think Bernie, New Braunfels are being contention. Same thing, maybe Bernie Champion. We'll see if Alamo Heights bounces back. As far as the rest of the other districts with the Corpus Valley area, you do have to kind of keep an eye on Gregory Portland. They've been a good team. Flower Bluff, Veterans Memorial, you're in, you're out, and then kind of in the Valley area, you have McAllen, your McAllen High, McAllen Row. That'd be it. I think that'd be a very interesting game to see McAllen versus Smithson Valley. I think that'd be a very good game, or McAllen Memorial. So you have some contenders, but and then I gotta say it's all going to depend on where you end up, Division One, Division Two, and I know with Smithson Valley they'll probably go the D1 route. Same thing with I think the Broncos. I think they're kind of like the Division Two, so they could be the top squad if they go to Division Two squad. But also you have Bernie. I think eventually for the girls' side, you probably see if you see any regional finals, it probably come up from District 25, 26. Boys' side.
The only problem with that is 25 and 26 are going to knock each other out.
First round game, but then the second, like I said, they'll probably end up meeting. They'll meet up in the final. So, boys, I mean, you're gonna have to look down to the valley. I mean, you have Lopez, you have Lopez, Porter, Rivera. We'll see if Bronzeville Hanna bounces back. They've been struggling. That's my dad's alma mater, and in the past they've had some really good teams, and I'm wondering if those idea schools have really hurt them and lost a lot of their talent to those schools. Maybe now they're playing at a 5A level, maybe they kind of bounce back. You also kind of keep an eye on, maybe down in North, definitely Sherryland, Lincoln Juarez. Those are probably, you have a really good Flower Bluff team. So boys side is still going to be stacked. Like I said, you also have your Bernie champion. So it's going to be very competitive.
And you said Nixon and Martin on the boys' side would be the favorite.
Yeah. Girls side for that would be the Medina Valley girls. I think they should be fine there.
So moving to 6A, there's been some flips. We're gonna start actually Region 3. Vandergrift, Cedar Park, Georgetown, Eastview, Hutto, Leander Rouse. No longer in Region 4. And I know you mentioned up top, Lake Travis, Westlake, the Round Rock schools. But yet, when you look at the map, Westlake and Lake Travis are in the Vandergrift neighborhood, and Hutto and Georgetown are in the Round Rock neighborhood. So, but to me, moving Vandergrift, the Cedar Park schools, in with the Katy schools, and what Galena Park North. I'm trying to think.
Kingwood
schools, yeah. Friendswood, just
Haley Velsick, Bridgeland.
To me, I'm all like, for a Region 4 guy, great. You guys battle it out. But, man.
I think that's where the UIL got wrong. And Westlake and Lake Travis should have been District 24 because they're closer to Leander ISD. Georgetown, Eastview, and Hutto are closer to Round. They're just down the street from Round Rock. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest head scratcher out of this. And I'm not saying anything about Paola and all that, but you would think. And now, and then, like I said, there still can be some appeals. They're gonna say, "Hey, well," especially Hutto. Hutto's just like they're just down the street from like Cedar Ridge. And Stony Point, because I've been in that area, and same thing with Eastview. Eastview is just north of Round Rock, so it doesn't make any sense. But like I said, it is what it is. Unless there is an appeal, which I haven't heard any. I've been on the internet checking to see if anybody's maybe submitted an appeal. Maybe we'll find out more in these next few days. But it's gonna be a tough one because that first round, for them, that District 24, that first round, they got some whoppers on there. You got Bridgeland, you got Cy Ranch, Fullshire. That's where my buddy Coach Trevino's at. So it's going to be very competitive. And then you're throwing the Katy schools, Eastern Street Jesuit, boys side. You got District 17. That's tough. You have A-League. So a lot tougher now for the Leander ISD schools. Here on for Region 4, like I said, Round Rock High School. I know they've had some numbers on the Westlake and Lake Travis, so it's still not going to be a cakewalk as far as soccer wise. Like right now, Westwood's been. I know for the boys, they're doing really well. So that'll be competitive. District 26, I think very very good district. I'm sure they're
Billy
happy.
Johnson moves up.
Yep, back to from 5A to 6A. Well, really, Buda Hayes actually moves up from 5A to 6A.
Yeah.
But I think the favorite would be there would probably be Bowie and Dripping Springs. Those are probably your two favorite boys and girls. Even though Austin High girls they're doing really well this year. And then District 27, the big jump, Piper moving up to 6A. Just made 27 a little bit tougher. So sorry, Coach Cano, with Steele and Clemens, and you still have some Marcos. Then also Wagner moving up from 5 to 6A, and you still have East Central. So that's going to be a competitive district. And then you have your Northeast schools, plus your two North sides, which are Brandeis and Clark, which is kind of what's going on right now. And then here's the one that flipped. Like I said, right now, currently, your Cibolo shirts and
Canyon 27 and 29
basically flipped. So now the North Side schools, now they had to go to the Southern route, what they did a couple years ago.
But they were successful doing that, though.
Yeah, like I say, like Harlan would go 3 deep, or 4 deep into the playoffs.
Now you got a little bit more of a challenge with Chief Southwest team. That might change that dynamic a little bit.
And see, and that's the thing too, because now, more likely with Southwest and Legacy, they'll probably go the Division II route, knowing that you have United and Alexander with a higher student population. We also, basically all 4 United ISD schools have the higher population. So District 30 is going to be a lot tougher. It's still a tough district. I mean, you got some great programs. Like I said, Alexander's a great program. United's a great program. And I'm sure, like I said, Southwest is very familiar with them because they've played them in their tournaments and so forth. You have Del Rio in there, an up and coming Eagle Pass. Like I said, they're getting better. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be a fight, for District 30, but it should be very competitive. And then you have the Valley schools, which, if you kind of look at it, really is not, I know like Enderburg Cotomedias is doing really well right now. And then Enderburg North had their year. I think those are really those two, and you have those Fresnos and Veterans Memorial. Those are probably your top 4 contenders coming out of the Valley. The rest are, like I said, historically. La Jolla in the past have, but we'll see what kind of squad they'll get. Harlingen's kind of had some, hit and miss years, but I think those are the 4 teams that you have to keep an eye on the Valley. So, it's going to be a good test. You still got some great teams. It's going to be a great test, and especially the matchups. When I think the D1 route might be the toughest one, maybe compared to the D2.
Any surprises? Which I don't think, like 4A, it's still you still got a puzzle to put together. But I think 6A, I think we all kind of knew or expected. Nothing really kind of surprised me out of this outside of the Lake Travis and I think District 24. I think that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I think the big surprise is that, man, District 6 is that. That got
one.
In Region
Allen,
1,
Dallas Jesuit,
yeah,
Prosper, Walnut Grove,
McKinney, Boyd. That's a very tough district. I'm sure Capel's very happy getting out of that and just playing on the plane. I mean, no disrespect to the plane. I mean, Plano's got some great soccer programs there too. So, and then you look at District 5, which is some of the teams that were in District 6. You got El Cocoy there, Wakeland. Oh, that's going to be a great matchup between them and Flower Mound and Hebron and Marcus. That's going to be some fun games to watch.
Dengar too, right?
Dengar too, yep. This is going to be some fun games there. District 4 is still going to be tough because you still have South Lake Carroll, Byron Nelson, Timber Creek, Keller. Um, little surprised
District
with
2.
Alito because
Mhm.
Alito, Granbury, and Weatherford, because they're more towards the west of Fort Worth, getting
Mhm.
linked up with the Arlington schools. That's a little head scratcher there. You would think maybe, oh, shoot, Capel's a lot closer, closer to the Arlington schools. Um, when you like even Fort Worth, Boswell is closer. I mean, it's really interesting. Those Arlington schools are going to have to go out west of the Metroplex to play Alito and Granbury and Weatherford. Normally, like I said, I think they get stuck. They have in the past they've had, like, I think Grand Prairie's been in that district, South Grand Prairie. Um, even that District 8's kind of even different because Euless Trinity used to be with Carroll, and her spell was there. So it's really it's a lot different. It's kind of a little head scratcher. So they're making some distances, and then you have District 2 with only 5 teams.
Yeah,
With more,
that's my question. Is there, and like I said here, I know Texas is big, and especially when you get out to West Texas because you have all the El Paso schools in one. There's really nobody you could put in District 2, right? It's because
no,
it's in
I,
an island by itself.
I honestly thought it was going to go two ways.
Del Rio, maybe.
Del Rio was going to end up going over there, which would suck for them because that'd be an 8-hour round trip. Um, Another one I thought, and I know it was probably going to be a long shot, was maybe Weatherford because
Mm-hmm.
they're on, kind of the west end of the Metroplex, where they, to make them drive all the way down to San Angelo Central and Odessa Midland. Because I remember San Angelo Central was put in one. Well, I remember one year they were put in the district with Euless Trinity and Hurstbell. They weren't too thrilled about that. Um, I think the key is from the next realignment is Abilene High coming back to 6A, and that's kind of like the missing piece of that little Southwest Conference. What hurt them is with Friendship building another school, and then so that forced them to move down to 5A. Um, and also maybe worst case scenario in the next round, I'm going to see if any of these El Paso schools that are in 6A. How many of those end up dropping to 5A, and do you end
The
up
idea
having
schools being built up right
Mhm.
there.
And do you end up having a district with El Paso, Midland, Odessa, and San Angelo? You end up combining those, and that'll be something there to look at. Or do you now start introducing the D1, D2 split within the districts? But even that, even if they did that, if you look at that, there's gonna be some travel, for some teams there. So
And I know I've asked you this, but I'll ask you again. Midland Lee, Odessa, Odessa Permian, and San Angelo Central are in areas, or they're big enough schools to where if you split them, they could be in 5A for that here, but they will probably never split, right?
mm,
As far as create additional schools because they like the numbers games.
well,
Uh,
well, Friday Night Lights, enough said. Like I said, I'm going there actually next week, and
right.
I remember talking to some people from over there. They've tried passing bonds, but they won't do it. Like I know with Odessa, they do need a third school. Now they have some satellite schools. I know they have like I think like 3 early college high schools there. Recently, there's a new charter school, I think Compass, which they do play football, but I think they're like a 2A, 3A. Midland and Midland Lee, like I said, they're actually going to be building new schools for them at new locations. I think Midland High is going to be at an old golf course, which is near Midland College, and Midland Lee is going to be built right behind the Stound Stadium. So they're because the schools currently they're using, I think,
The portables.
portables. So to kind of keep teams from breaking up, they're doing that. And but honestly, if they did add each district did add a third school, there probably would end up being their own 5A district. More likely.
Which to me, if you want to kind of reduce travel,
Mhm.
um,
But that would suck for San Angelo Central because then they would have to ship out to
But San Angelo Central is one where I know you and I talked
with
about
Lakeview. Yeah.
pre-show. How they draw the boundaries is
Mhm.
keeping them at 6A as opposed to maybe
Lakeview, which is a 4A, which they formerly was a 5A, and if I'm Central, just even it up so you can have two 5As, and that way you end up playing at the Abilene schools, you know, Cooper, even up to the Lubbock schools. And they used to play, like I said, Central used to play the schools in Lubbock, so and Amarillo High. Um, but there's a lot of it. A lot of has to do because pride regarding their sports and all that, and they don't want to break up traditions and stuff. But you notice that the population in West Texas is kind of dwindling and stuff, and that's why you see a 5-team district, and in
well, you're seeing it there, and we're seeing it. Not necessarily the population, but the public schools, the
the
UIL
Valley
schools in the valley
for 6A. Yep.
with the idea schools, and you see it a little bit with you're seeing them go from 6A to 5A as far as with the schools. And I'm waiting. Like I said, I do think El Paso, you're going to start to see more of it. San Antonio, there's more there's more schools in San Antonio because you look at Stevens, Jay, Holmes, um, you know, there's the newer north side schools that are getting the attendance, but some of the olders like Taft, Stevens, Marshall, Holmes, you could see them. I know you mentioned, hey, maybe Stevens drops. Holmes, I think we both were kind of surprised how the numbers turned in. We thought they would be
Well,
kind of
even like the SAISD schools, because they're closing some schools.
Yeah.
I think eventually their population is going to drop into the 4A area, and because a lot of people are moving into those areas, or buying the houses there. Everyone's kind of pushing kind of outward. Um, I wouldn't be surprised like Creekview, even though they're a 4A, they're going to be a 5A probably in the next realignment. That's just kind of a given there. Um, they're with East Central, I think like with East Central, they're going to have another high school. They have to do it. They have to do it because that whole their area is also booming. The one I'm waiting to see is like Church Cibolo. They're going to have a cousin that lives out towards heading out towards Seguin. Like he lives off the kind of the south end of the Church Parkway with where I-10 meets. There's a new subject. There's a lot of houses being built there. I won't be surprised they end up building another high school there. And then I was in Marion a few weeks ago. They just built a new campus there, so they're anticipating growth, and they're about to. I think they're about to get swallowed up, slowly but surely. And and I think another school that I'll keep an eye on to see if they build another school is probably really two is San Marcos. I think they end up getting a second high school. Hayes ISD, which right now they have Buda Johnson, Buda Hayes, and Kyle Lehman. But on the east end of I-35, kind of the little back road of Highway 21 that goes to Bastrop, there's a lot of houses being built there. So I would not be surprised if Hayes ends up with a fourth high school. And so that way they try to drop them down to maybe to 5A and so forth to kind of keep it, kind of balanced. But eventually they're going to end up having probably 4 6As in the future. And that's where the talk about the 7A comes in, or do you go to the D1, D2 route with all the sports and so forth, like they already do with football? I think eventually they're gonna have to start doing some things, but what it comes down to is always the travel. That's the thing. Students missing time from class and stuff. Like we just did one. Was it from Anthony High School to Presidio for a basketball game? That's an 8-hour round trip.
For a 2-hour game, for a less than 2-hour game.
So,
now
and
they'll probably bring the boys and girls, so you'd have 4 hours there. So you're talking about minimum 12 hours, not counting food or anything along those lines.
So interesting. Very interesting. It was a little chaotic, but I think I think some of the prognosticators, I think some of them did get it right as far as some of the districts. Yeah, so they were kind of spot on. So kudos to them.
Yeah, like so I thought, I thought outside of the 4A, but the 4A is just it's. I don't know anybody that can get that right just because of how many possibilities, I guess you could say, as far as for it to go to. But no, I thought, you know, like I said here, I thought it would be a little bit more clear, and I like 6A is very clear. I think we have that. 5A I think is very clear, but and we kind of knew the 4A was going to be the wild card, but I didn't think it was going to be like, to me 4A is still undefined. I know we kind of have the basis here, but we talked about, hey, well, we're going to collapse this district into this district. This district's going to go from 4 to 3. We're going to move an entire 3A division into the 4A with the idea schools. So come April, I think I saw it was going to be out by April 2nd, I believe, because I think they have the appeals till
February 23rd, I believe,
till the end of the month.
Yeah,
and then of course they'll listen to them, and then they'll make the final determination. Flip a couple of coins, pass a couple of nickels, if you still got nickels, for that here. Possibly, I'm just joking with you on that, for that here. So, but Rafa, I think you're going to do a show Wednesday. We discussed. Thursday, we're going to do a show standings, or Rafa. I think it's the Rafa Power Index, right?
I think it's the index time. So I'll wait after Tuesday's results so I can get some things in. Maybe I'm sure mine will be a little bit different from Steve's and so forth after this past weekend's games. Like I said, I went to a couple of games. Shout out to Mr. Angel Gomez. I got to spend some time with him. He watches the show. It's there at the Lee and Reagan game. So did a lot of talking about a lot of soccer and stuff. So fun time, and a little chilly out there, but it was fun. Even though the scoreboard froze, so there's no scoreboard in the second half there of that game, but it was really exciting. Yeah. So the refs had to kind of keep time and stuff, but it was a fun game. So I can tell you this: Reagan's got a great team. So does Lee. It's always a fun matchup to watch. Got to see kind of the later end of the Reagan girls and Lee girls game. Reagan girls look really good. I won't sleep on the Lee girls too. They have some talent there. I think like I said, they just kind of ran into a team that was a little more juice, I guess you can say. And we got some key games coming up. I know you were at one game that they scored the last 90 seconds, and then was kind of someone.
Dude, the Warren
Soda
game, both the boys and the girls. Like, the girls ended in 0-0 draw, but both teams had opportunities, but both defenses stood. The boys game, Warren got a goal that it may or may not have crossed, but they counted it. Soto equalized with about 90 seconds left. Warren came immediately back, and there was a call for a PK, which could have been, I think it would have been a little bit tough, especially with how the game was called or wasn't called, depending on your view of that game. Both, I will say, shout out to Warren and shout out to Soto. Two great programs that both the boys and the girls did a hell of a job on that night, and the chili.
And then Steve was at Ferris, and he kept us updated on Taft and Harlan. The Taft girls bounced back. They made a good statement on that game, and then the Harlan Taft boys game, that was a good, for what Steve said, that was a challenge for Harlan, but they found a way to win. They were able to pull that off, so they're currently, I think, in first place. But first place is on the line on Wednesday at 5 p.m. between Warren and Harlan. Don't know if that's at the grass fields or not, but um, that's going to be a great game between those two. And then I think that ends the first round of the district play. I think where they may have one more, and then they start the second round starts I think next week. But like I said, some of the teams are already kind of halfway done with district, and we have some that are kind of still in the early stages, but some very competitive districts. Like I said, I think there might be some teams that could surprise others when it comes to the playoff time.
I do want to highlight the Southwest Legacy number one. It's a very, very, very good game.
Rival game.
Rivalry game. Southwest Legacy beat Southwest last night, but they are doing a United in Service. Unlike, I don't think most people know this, but usually, in the district, the boys play at home at, let's say, Southwest. The girls will play at the Legacy. However, for both the boys varsity and JV, for this round, they are having it all at Southwest Legacy. So starting tomorrow, 5 o'clock, varsity boys, Southwest versus Southwest Legacy, and then the girls follow up. Both teams are, I think, 1-2, and both the boys and the girls for that here. But they are doing a United in Service where they're help our students and families in needs. Join us for rivalry. Make a $5 donation when you purchase your game ticket online through the Southwest ISD box office on GoFan. They mentioned one district, one community, one goal. And the donations benefit the Southwest ISD food pantry and clothing closet. So, number one, you're going to get a great game. Number two, you're going to be able to help support the Southwest ISD community for that here. And so, to me, like I said here, I know we're talking about games. I'm going to try to see if I can go to it, for it here, to see if I can get off and go to it. I know AJ and Jay play at Win on Wednesday as opposed to Tuesday. So I'm going to try to see if I can go one to scout because I think Jay can beat both Southwest and Legacy.
Some fighting words there. Is hitting the casino on Wednesday too?
You laugh, but I'm bringing the wife so she can go to the casino. So yes, yes, I brought I told Monica, I was like, hey, AJ's playing down at Eagle
complex.
Pass, and you know where the thing there, and then the casino is 15-20 minutes away. So
are they taking them to the wagon wheel, get that big ass chicken fried steak?
I don't know what they're doing, but that'll be on the bus. AJ will be. Win is a better team this year than they were last year, but I enjoyed when I was in high school, many moons ago in Colorado, and we had 4-hour bus trips, for that here through the mountains in Colorado. That I enjoyed the time on the bus, and these were buses, not the charter buses that Jay gets when they go from here to there. So not as nice, but the old yellow bus that you felt every bump. But to me, like I said, if you have the opportunity, and there's a lot of games going around tomorrow night, but to me, if you especially if you're on the south side, part of the Southwest ISD community, or in District 28 5A for the boys, and you're not playing, if you can go support the Southwest ISD and the community there. And you might get to see Chief because from my understanding, he typically likes to hang around there. So I don't know why.
Yeah, so. Should be a fun game. Like I said, there's other key games also going on to other districts. Like I said, we're trying to make our hopefully. Like I said, we're trying to make our rounds, and like I said, so I hope I'm gonna try to see what schedule's on there, see what I can go to. Like I said, I like to spice it up, not kind of stick to the usual suspects and all that. So, like I said, it was great to go out there for some other games, and then I'll be in West Texas next Tuesday, so I get to see these guys against Midland Lee. So they're at Ratliff, so that should be a fun one. I
Hopefully
know.
no snow this year, right?
Last year it was ice. It was sleeting right in the boys game, and then it started really coming down right before the girls game. It's like, you know what? I got to drive up 15 miles to my hotel. No, especially driving over there. Now I'm heading back. So I'll be, like I said, I'll be in Mojo Country next week. So let's go check them out, see how they're doing.
Because Super Bowl Sunday's this week, right?
Mhm.
So I doubt
we probably won't do a fan cast.
There won't be a fan cast this week.
Unless we sign a player late Saturday.
Well, I don't even know if we sign a player. It'd have to be a major news for us to try to do a show, unless we did it Saturday. But yeah, so probably no fan cast. So probably the next show will be Thursday to kind of recap. Did Rafa pick against Permian?
Yeah, they get beat Midland Lee. They're at Ratliff. Yeah, I see. Yeah, you see the shirt.
Hey, what time is the show on Wednesday for the 50-50?
I believe it's. Let me see, because I posted it.
And don't get it wrong, because your boss is watching.
Yeah, it's like the spelling too. So, and getting the right teams. So make sure you guys turn in tomorrow at 8:05
or Wednesday.
No, Wednesday 8:05 p.m. I don't. Well, Coach Kano has a game tomorrow, so Wednesday 8:05 p.m. for Inside Texas High School Soccer. We're gonna do the 2026-2028 realignment show. He's calling it the chaos.
He'll address more of the statewide stuff.
Yeah,
we focus mainly on the 4A.
Yeah,
or pardon me, not 4A.
For our region 4, even though we touch other areas.
Coach Kano and Rafa, and I'm not sure if you guys have guests. Usually, Coach Kano is pretty good.
I think we might. I don't know. I gotta ask him, but we'll be on YouTube. We'll be on X, so you can check us out. So make sure to like and subscribe. Same thing with ours. Like and subscribe to us on X and YouTube, and also on Facebook.
8:05 Central Time. He's on the WTBS schedule here.
Yeah,
us, old people with gray.
Right in the middle of Dynamite. So, I'm gonna have to. So I'm gonna have to videotape my Kenny Omega match. So,
well, that's what the DVR is for, buddy.
Yeah.
So, but thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Coach. Good luck, Coach. I know you've started out. We don't pick against the shirts we wear.
Well, especially if I'm going to be there at their game on Tuesday. So now playoffs, that's the thing. When they play one of the Dallas area teams, I have no choice on that. So maybe I'll put on the other shirt. I'll wear my Waco University shirt too. Maybe I'll pick against them. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my Canyon shirt. So hey, I need my Canyon shirt.
I still had Canyon on my team to watch, and man, the coach got to turn it around.
That's why I asked my buddy also for a full. My buddy Coach Art. I need to ask him, hey, where's my full shirt?
He said,
Coach Strong, right? Great.
Michael Strong of Bernie will be joining us,
Steve-O.
among others, and Steve-O. So should be a good show. The 50-50 podcast, Inside Texas Soccer, right?
Texas High School Soccer, yeah.
Texas High School Soccer, always a great show. I always love going on, throwing a few jabs, out, just to disrail the show. But unlike me, Coach Kano is a professional. He can at least get his intro in. Unlike me, that I can't figure out the intro 8 years into the show. Scott, where are you, buddy? Need you to come back. But what's life without goals? Hope everybody's be safe. Go out and support the community, soccer or other high school sports as well. I know ours is a soccer program, but tennis, robotics, Knowledge Bowl, for that here. Just go out and support the local high schools because kids need it. We'll see you. Bye.